I didn't realize a single sentence could change the way you hear every laugh, every babe, every kiss on the cheek. But it did. We were sitting in my car outside her building, wipers squeaking back and forth, the kind of rain that makes the streetlights look like they're melting. She was scrolling on her phone, smiling at something. Then she went quiet, too quiet, and said, "All my friends' boyfriends pay for everything. Rent, trips, dinners. Why don't you?" Not angry, not joking. Just matter of fact, like she was asking why I don't drink water. I remember staring at the fogged windshield and feeling my stomach tighten. Because when someone asks that, they're not really asking. They're measuring. They're checking your weight on a scale you didn't agree to stand on. I tried to play it cool. I laughed and said, "Maybe your friends are dating CEOs." She didn't laugh back. She tucked her hair behind her ear and said, "I'm just saying. It must be nice to feel taken care of." That's when I should have asked the question that would have saved me months of stress. Taken care of. By who? By me. Only me. At the time I was 28. Software job. Steady. Good money for my age, but not buy your girlfriend a lifestyle money. I grew up watching my parents split everything down the middle. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to be a team. That's what I thought I was building. She was 26. Marketing. Beautiful. Funny. Magnetic. The kind of girl who could walk into a room and somehow be the center without trying. She had friends who treated brunch like a sport and social media like a scoreboard. Everything was energy, vibes, standards. They talked about love like it was a brand deal. When we started dating, it felt normal. I paid sometimes, she paid sometimes. We'd argue over who got to cover the check like it was cute. She'd grab my hand in public and squeeze it like she couldn't believe I was real. Then slowly, like someone turning the heat up 1 degree at a time, the expectations changed. It started with comments. Little ones, tossed in like confetti. My coworker's boyfriend just surprised her with a weekend in Miami. My friend literally doesn't know how much her rent is. Her man handles all that. If a guy really wants you, he'll make it easy for you. At first, I shrugged. I told myself she was just talking. People talk, people vent, people compare. It's not serious. But the comments didn't float away. They landed, they stacked. And the worst part was how casual she sounded. Like this was a universal law, and I was the only one breaking it. One night, we were at a rooftop bar with her friends. Everybody looked like they were auditioning to be somebody's before picture. Her best friend, Talia, was telling a story about her boyfriend paying off her credit card, just because. Talia said it like she was talking about a sunrise. Natural, expected. Then she looked at me and went, "So, what are you spoiling her with lately?" Everybody turned toward me. My girlfriend smiled and took a sip of her drink. She didn't say a word, but the silence said plenty. I joked, "My presence is priceless." They laughed, but it wasn't a warm laugh. It was the kind where people smile with their mouths and judge with their eyes. On the drive home, my girlfriend stared out the window and said, "You embarrassed me." I almost swerved. "Embarrassed you?" I was joking. She shook her head. "It's not funny. It makes me look like I'm settling." Settling. That word hit my ribs like a punch. I said, "So what would have been the right answer?" She shrugged. "I don't know. Just something that shows you're serious." Serious, like love was a receipt. That night, I sent her flowers the next morning. Not because I wanted to, because I wanted to stop feeling like I was failing a test I didn't study for. She posted them on her story. Tagged me. Heart emoji. Her friends replied with little fire reactions. And a piece of me, some insecure, competitive piece, felt relieved. That's how it starts. You don't buy love. You buy peace. You buy silence. You buy a break from that tight feeling in your chest. Then you realize you've been paying monthly. After that, it became a pattern. Dinner? I reached for the check before she did. Uber? I covered it. Weekend trip? I surprised her. She started saying things like, "I love how generous you are." But there was always this undertone like generosity wasn't a personality trait. It was rent. Sometimes she'd do something sweet, like bake cookies or plan a date night at home, and I'd think, okay, she's not like that, she's not using me. Then the next day, she'd send me a link to a purse and say, "This is so me." And when I didn't respond fast enough, she'd add, "Just saying." Just saying. The two most expensive words in a relationship. If you've ever been with someone who makes you feel like you're constantly one no away from being replaced, you already know where this is going. And if you want the ending, because trust me, the ending is the part that made me finally breathe again, stick with me. Also, do me a favor and hit subscribe if you like stories where the truth actually shows up before the credits roll. Alright. The real shift happened when she started talking about moving in together. Not in a romantic way. Not, I want to wake up next to you every day. More like, I want an upgrade. We were on her couch, browsing listings. She kept zooming in on places with rooftop pools and concierge desks, like we were shopping for a new identity. This one is perfect, she said, pointing at a 2-bedroom in a building that smelled like money. I looked at the rent and whistled. That's a lot. She frowned. It's normal. It's normal for who? For people our age, she said, but she didn't mean people our age. She meant people she followed. I said, if we move in, we should do it in a way that makes sense. We can split it. Her head snapped toward me. Split it? Yeah, or we can do it proportional to income. Whatever feels fair. She sat back like I'd just insulted her mother. My friends don't do that. There it was again. Her friends. That invisible committee deciding what kind of man I was. I asked, what do you want exactly? She didn't hesitate. I think you should cover the rent. I'll handle groceries and decorating. Decorating. I stared at her. So you want me to pay for the apartment and you'll buy throw pillows? She rolled her eyes. You're making it sound stupid. No, I'm making it sound accurate. That fight lasted 3 days. Not yelling. Worse. Cold. Distant. Punishing. She stopped touching me. She started replying to texts with one-word answers. She'd go out with her friends and post pictures looking amazing. Like a reminder that her life was fun with or without me. On the 3rd night, she said, I just don't feel secure with you. That made my heart drop. Because security is a deep word. It sounds like safety, like future, like trust. But she didn't mean emotional security, she meant financial. I said, I'm not broke. She said, it's not about broke. It's about a man wanting to provide. Provide. And the way she said it, soft, almost sweet, made it sound like a moral obligation, not a negotiation. I caved. I told myself it was an investment in our future. I told myself love requires sacrifice. I told myself I'd get a raise soon. I told myself anything that kept me from admitting the truth. The truth was, I was scared she'd leave. We moved into the place she wanted. At first it felt kind of exciting. New keys. New routines. She danced barefoot in the kitchen the first night, holding a glass of wine, and for a second I thought, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe she just likes nice things, and I like making her happy. Then the bills started hitting like a drum line. Rent, parking fee, amenity fee, utilities, internet, furniture, all the little things that never stay little. She'd say, we need a couch that matches the vibe. Like the vibe was a medical condition. I bought the couch. Then it was, the bedroom needs a statement headboard. Bought it. Then it was, this place needs art. Bought it. And every time I hesitated, she'd do that thing where she'd get quiet and say, it's fine, in a way that told me it wasn't fine at all. The first time I brought up budgeting, she acted like I'd suggested we live in a tent. Why are you stressing? She asked. Because I'm paying for everything. She scoffed. You make it sound like I don't do anything. You buy groceries, and I make this home feel like a home, she snapped. A home I could barely afford. And here's the messed up part. I started resenting her, but I also started resenting myself more. Because I was the one swiping the card. I was the one saying yes. My savings slowed, then stopped. I told myself I'd pause investing just for now, then just for a couple months. Then I was moving money around like a magician trying to hide a trick. I didn't tell her how tight it was getting because I already knew what she'd say. She'd say I was being dramatic. Or worse, she'd say I wasn't enough. The pressure got so constant that I started waking up at 3 a.m. thinking about rent, like my brain was paying bills in my sleep. Meanwhile, her lifestyle didn't shrink. It expanded. Her nails were always done, hair always perfect, new outfits for brunch, new outfits for dinner, new outfits for just running errands. She didn't just live, she performed living, and the comparisons never stopped. One afternoon, she came home glowing and said, "Talia's boyfriend got her a Cartier bracelet." I tried to smile. "That's cool." She held my gaze. "Yeah, he said he wanted her to have something timeless. Timeless, like love needed jewelry to last." I said, "Do you want a bracelet?" She shrugged, but her smile was sharp. "I want a man who wants to do that." That night, I sat at my desk and looked at my budget like it was a crime scene. I wasn't drowning yet, but I could see the water rising. I finally decided to set boundaries. Not angry boundaries, not ultimatums, just truth. We were eating takeout on the couch. She was scrolling again, half listening as I started. "Hey," I said, "we need to talk about money." Her eyes didn't leave the screen. "What about it? I can't keep covering everything. It's stressing me out." She sighed like I was interrupting her life. "Okay. So going forward, we need to split more things. Not 50-50 if you can't, but something." She put her phone down slowly like she wanted me to feel the weight of it. "So you're changing up on me," she said. "I'm not changing, I'm being honest." She stared at me for a long time, then said, "My friends warned me about guys like you." I blinked. Guys like me? Guys who act like they're generous until it's real. I almost laughed, but it came out bitter. "It's been real for months." She leaned forward. "If you wanted to, you would, that's it." That phrase, "if you wanted to, you would," sounds motivational until you realize it's also manipulation. I said, "I do want to, but I also want a partner." She smiled, cold and pretty. "I am your partner. Partners support each other. Then support me." Silence. Then she hit me with the line that should have ended it right there. "I just don't think you're in the same league as the men I'm used to being around." League. Like I was a minor league player and she was scouting for the majors. I felt my face get hot. "What does that even mean?" "It means I have standards," she said, like standards were synonyms with expenses. That night we went to bed back to back, not touching. I stared at the ceiling, thinking about all the ways I'd bent myself into what she wanted, and how none of it had made her grateful. It had only made her comfortable. A week later, I found the group chat. It wasn't like I snooped through her phone in a dramatic, possessive way. She left her iPad on the counter while she showered, and a notification popped up. "Talia, so did you train him yet or nah?" Train him. My stomach dropped so hard I swear I felt it in my knees. I shouldn't have clicked, I know that. But my name was basically on the screen. And after months of feeling like I was losing my mind, I needed to know. Tapped, and there it was. Messages from her and her friends like they were discussing a project, not a relationship. Screenshots of my texts. "Look how he talks about budgeting, lol. Girl, you can do better. Make him feel it. If he's scared to lose you, he'll step up." Then my girlfriend's message, the one that made my mouth go dry. "He's not broke, he's just stingy. I'm gonna push for him to cover rent fully. If he doesn't, I'm out. I'm not doing struggle love." Struggle love. I paid for her rent, but I was struggle love. The shower was still running. I could hear her humming like everything was fine. My hands started shaking, not because I wanted to scream, but because something inside me finally snapped into place. This wasn't confusion, this was strategy. I put the iPad back exactly where it was. I sat at the kitchen table and waited like I was about to have a business meeting with someone who didn't know I'd seen the contract. When she came out, towel on her hair, she smiled and said, "Hey, babe." I didn't smile back. "What's wrong?" she asked, instantly cautious. "I saw the chat," I said. Her face changed so fast it was like watching a mask drop. "What chat?" "Don't," I said quietly. "Don't insult me." Her eyes flicked away. "Why were you on my iPad?" I almost laughed again. "Of course. Make me the villain for seeing the truth. I saw what you and your friends say about me," I said. "Train him. Push him. Scared to lose you." She crossed her arms. "You invaded my privacy. I'm paying for your entire life," I said, my voice calmer than I felt. "And you're calling me stingy." She scoffed. "Oh my God, you're being so dramatic." "Am I?" I leaned forward. "Tell me, do you love me or do you love what I do for you?" Her lips parted and for a second she looked like she might say something real. Then she hardened. "I love a man who takes care of his woman. That's what love looks like to me." There it was. Not me, not us, not partnership, a man, a role, a paycheck with a pulse. I said, "Then you don't love me, you love the benefits." Her eyes narrowed. "So what, you're gonna punish me now?" Punish, like accountability was cruelty. I stood up. "No, I'm going to protect myself." And that's when she panicked. Because people like that don't fear losing love. They fear losing access. Her voice got sweeter. "Babe, come on, let's not fight. I didn't mean it like that. My friends are just—" "Stop," I said. I read it. She took a breath, then tried another angle. The one that had always worked. Tears. Not a full cry. Just glossy eyes. The kind that makes you feel like a monster for standing up. "I just want to feel safe," she whispered. "I grew up without stability. I don't want that again." And I almost folded. For a split second, I almost did. Then I remembered the messages. Make him feel it. If he's scared to lose you, he'll step up. So I didn't fold. I said, "We can talk about stability like adults, but we're not doing this performance anymore." Her tears disappeared like they were never real. She sniffed once and said, "Fine. If you're gonna act like this, maybe I do need space." Space. In the apartment I paid for, I said, "Okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to separate finances, starting today." She laughed, sharp. "You can't just—" "I can," I said. And I am. That night I slept on the couch, not because I was scared of her, but because I didn't want to share a bed with someone who saw me as a resource. The next morning I called the leasing office. I checked the contract. My name was on it. Hers was too, but I was the primary. I asked what my options were if we broke up. They told me the fees, the timeline, the process. Then I did something I'd never done in a relationship. I made a plan without her. I opened a new bank account and moved my direct deposit. I removed her from my credit card as an authorized user. Because yes, at some point she'd convinced me it would be easier for groceries. I canceled the card and got a new number. I changed passwords. I pulled my credit report like I was checking for a ghost. That's when I saw it. 2 new accounts. Store cards. Under my name. My breath stopped. I called the companies. I asked questions, voice shaking. The dates lined up with quick shopping trips she'd taken. The mailing address, our apartment. I confronted her that night. She didn't even pretend to be confused. She sighed and said, "I was gonna tell you." "When?" I asked. "After you maxed them out." "They were for the apartment," she said, like that made it okay. "I needed stuff." "You opened credit in my name," I said slowly. "That's fraud." Her eyes widened for half a second, then she rolled them. "Oh my God, relax. Couples do that." "No," I said, "liars do that." That's when she got angry, real angry. She started listing everything she thought she deserved. "I moved in with you. I made this place nice. I gave you my time." My time. Like she'd clocked in. I said, "Pack your stuff." She laughed like I was hilarious. "You can't kick me out." "I'm not doing this," I said. "You need to leave." She stepped closer, eyes bright with rage. "If you do this, you're gonna regret it." And for the first time since I met her, I believed her. Not because she was powerful, because she was reckless. The next day, while I was at work, she posted a story. Not of her. Of a screenshot of a quote. "Some men will humble you because they can't afford you." Then she posted another. "A provider doesn't complain." Then another. "If he wanted to, he would." My phone buzzed with messages from mutual friends. "Everything okay? Did you guys break up?" I didn't respond. I was too busy calling the credit companies again, filing disputes, freezing my credit, documenting everything. I wasn't even heartbroken at this point. I was in survival mode. That night I came home and half her stuff was gone. And so was my watch. Not a luxury watch, but a nice one my dad gave me when I graduated. Sentimental, irreplaceable. I checked drawers, closet, nightstand, gone. I called her, straight to voicemail. I texted, "Return my watch and we can handle this peacefully." She replied 10 minutes later, "Stop harassing me." Harassing, that word again, the same move. Flip it. Make me the aggressor. The next day, she did the thing that finally made me see her clearly. She showed up with a guy, not a friend, not a brother, a guy. Tall, flashy, loud, designer belt. The kind of dude who stands in your doorway like he owns it. She walked past me and said, "I'm getting the rest of my things." The guy smirked. "Don't make this hard." I looked at her. "You brought backup?" She shrugged. "I'm not dealing with your energy alone. My energy. The energy of a man who paid her rent and got his identity stolen for the privilege." I stepped aside and let them grab what they wanted because I wasn't going to end up in a viral clip titled "Broke Boy Freakout" on her friends' stories. But when she tried to take my laptop, I said, "No." She blinked. "Excuse me? That's mine." She smiled. "Nasty. You owe me." "No," I said. "You stole from me. You committed fraud. And you're not taking my laptop." The guy stepped forward. "Bro, chill." I didn't raise my voice. I just looked him dead in the eyes and said, "You have no idea what you just walked into." Then I pulled out my phone and said, "I'm calling the police if you take anything that isn't yours." Her face tightened. She hated that. She hated consequences. She dropped the laptop and leaned in close enough that I could smell her perfume, the same perfume I bought her last month. "This is why no one respects you," she whispered. "You're weak. Weak." Because I wouldn't let her steal. They left. And I stood there in my living room, the living room I paid for, feeling this strange mix of humiliation and relief. Humiliation that I let it get this far. Relief that the mask was off. 2 days later, I got an email from the leasing office. Someone had called claiming I was abusive and that she needed to be removed from the lease immediately for her safety. Stared at the screen, jaw clenched. That was her next move. Not just to leave, to rewrite history, to be the victim, to make me the villain so she could tell her friends she didn't lose. I called the leasing office back and told them calmly, "That's not true, and I have evidence of financial fraud tied to her. I'm handling this properly." They got quiet, told me to put everything in writing. I did. Then I did something I'd never done before. I went to the police station. I brought documentation, screenshots, account statements, the group chat messages I'd photographed after I found them, the disputes, the missing watch, everything. The officer listened, nodded, and said something that stuck with me. "This isn't romance," he said. "This is a pattern. A pattern." And hearing an outsider say it, someone who didn't care about my ego, my feelings, my pride, made me finally accept what I'd been avoiding. I wasn't unlucky. I was targeted. Over the next few weeks, the world she built started cracking. The credit accounts were flagged. One was closed. The other was under investigation. I froze my credit, added fraud alerts, and worked with the companies until they removed most of it. Not all. Some of it still stung, like a bruise that didn't fully heal. I got a text from Talia, her best friend. "You didn't have to go that far." That made me laugh out loud in my kitchen. Go that far. As if protecting my identity was a personal attack. I replied, "Tell your friend to return my watch." No response. Then the messages started coming from people I didn't recognize. Guys, "Bro, why you treating her like that? Real men provide." One guy even sent, "I heard you're broke." Broke. The funniest insult to throw at someone when you have no argument left. I ignored them, and that's when she came back. Not with anger, with sweetness. She showed up at the apartment while I was packing my things. I decided to break the lease and take the hit. I'd rather lose money than lose my mind. She stood in the doorway wearing the soft version of herself. Minimal makeup, big eyes, the girl I fell for, on purpose. "Can we talk?" she asked. I didn't answer right away. I just kept folding clothes. "I miss you," she said. That almost made me stop. Almost. Then she added, "This is all getting out of control. We can fix it. Fix it." Meaning, make the consequences disappear. I finally looked at her. "Where's my watch?" Her face tightened. "Why are you still on that?" "Because it was my dad's gift." She sighed, irritated like I was an annoying customer. "I don't have it." I stared at her. "So you're here, but you don't have what you stole." Her voice got sharper. "I didn't steal it. Maybe you lost it." I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was so predictable. "Okay," I said. "Then there's nothing to talk about." She stepped closer. "You're really gonna throw us away over money?" I froze, then I asked quietly, "Do you hear yourself?" "It's not money," she snapped. "It's what it represents." I nodded. Exactly, power. Her eyes flashed. You always have to make me the villain. No, I said, you did that yourself. She stood there, breathing hard, like she wanted to yell, like she wanted to cry, like she wanted to do anything that would pull me back into the old dance. Then she said the thing that told me she still didn't get it. You're going to regret this when you realize what you lost. I looked around the apartment, at the overpriced couch, the art I didn't even like, the vibe I paid for, and I said, no, I'm going to regret not leaving sooner. Her mouth opened, shocked, like no one had ever spoken to her that way. I walked past her and opened the door wider. She stood there for a long second, then her face changed into something ugly. This is why you'll always be average, she hissed. You don't have that masculine provider mindset. I held the door open and said, goodbye. She left, and for the first time in months, the air in the room felt lighter. A week later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was the flashy guy she brought to my apartment. Hey, he said, voice low. This is, weird, but did she ever open accounts in your name? I leaned back against my kitchen counter and closed my eyes. Oh, I said. So it's your turn. He cursed under his breath. She said you were crazy. I said, yeah, that's part of the pattern. He didn't say much after that, just asked what I did. I told him to freeze his credit. Document everything. Don't argue. Handle it. Then I hung up and just sat there for a second staring at nothing. Not because I felt bad for him, because I realized something. The league she talked about, the lifestyle, the standards, none of it mattered. Because her real standard was simple. Whoever gives her access, she'll call love. Whoever draws a boundary, she'll call weak. A couple months passed. My finances stabilized. I moved into a smaller place I actually liked. Quiet, affordable, mine. I started sleeping through the night again. I started eating without that constant knot in my stomach. And then, one random afternoon, I got a message from her. A single line. Can we meet? I just want closure. Closure. That word used to sound mature to me. Healthy. Now it sounded like another attempt to control the narrative. I didn't respond. An hour later, she sent another. I'm sorry for how things ended. No mention of fraud. No mention of the watch. No mention of the lies. Just how things ended, like the ending happened to her. I still didn't respond. Then she sent the last message. I hope you're happy. And that one made me smile because for the first time I didn't feel the need to prove anything. I was happy. Not because I won, because I finally stopped paying to be tolerated. A mutual friend later told me what happened after she left. The flashy guy dropped her the moment the complications started. Her friend stopped inviting her out as much. Not out of moral outrage, out of inconvenience. She wasn't fun when she was stressed. She tried to spin the story. Of course she did. She told people I was controlling, that I was insecure, that I was broke. But here's the thing about grown adults with real lives. Eventually, people notice patterns. Eventually, the same drama follows the same person into every room. Eventually, the stories stop landing. And the quiet part? The part no one says out loud? People like her aren't punished by the universe in some cinematic way. They're punished by time. Because time exposes what charm hides. Time forces you to build something real. And if all you know how to build is an image, you end up standing alone in it. I never got my watch back. Not yet anyway. But I got something more valuable than that. I got my self-respect back. And now when I think about that sentence, all my friends' boyfriends pay for everything, why don't you? I hear what she was really asking. Why won't you let me use you the way I've learned to use people? And my answer, the one I wish I'd had that rainy night in my car, is simple. Because love isn't a bill you pay to keep someone around. Because a relationship isn't a subscription service. Because if your standards only apply to what you receive and never to what you give, those aren't standards. That's entitlement wearing perfume. And if someone ever makes you feel like you have to buy your place in their life, don't argue. Don't beg, don't try harder. Just step back and watch what happens when the money stops. That's when you learn if you were loved or just financed.